Scully gets killed. CSM is a Nazi. Mulder is a Confederate soldier, and Samantha is a little Jewish boy in Poland in this story, hot on the heels of Waco and Jonestown. The agents are brought in
to assist in the raid of a religious cult supposedly stockpiling weapons. They encounter a young woman who seems to have a split personality. Or is it a past life? Can she help them discover the weapons before extreme loss of life?
This is not happening.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast, and with me is my good friend Andrew. Andrew, say hello. If you're awake, are you awake? You're not awake. Well, I guess I'll be solo on this one because Andrew is sleeping again.
Sorry.
Andrew!
Sorry. What? Are we ready to go? Are we doing it?
We are ready to go.
Okay, let me start recording. Hold on, let me get my shiz.
You're already recording.
Oh, well, that was embarrassing. I wasn't snoring, was I?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Whew, that's a relief. Could have been embarrassing.
Well, we're about to talk about the field where I died, Andrew.
Okay, sorry, just getting my pillow arranged here. Getting my little blankie. Good, I'm ready.
Boy.
Yeah.
I think through Andrew's cryptic words, we can discern, ladies and gentlemen, that he does not like this episode.
I like it fine as a sleep aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the field where I melatonin.
The field where I had a nap and died after I slept, apparently, is what we call this one.
Oh, boy.
And
all right.
It has no earthly reason to be this bad, given who's involved. It's written by Glenn Morgan and James Wong. It's directed by Rob Bowman. It's a beautiful looking episode, but this script is so far up its own ass that it is hard to enjoy.
Well, I have theories on that.
Okay, I look forward to you telling me those, and maybe between the two of us, we can make a better episode. You know, the episode that should have been.
Ooh, the episode that should have been.
The field where I had fun.
The field where I did better.
The field of dreams where I died.
There you go. The field of dead scripts.
This field of dead ideas.
Oh, no. Okay, well, obviously we're off to a thundering start.
It's a banger.
So we may as well just jump right in.
Yeah,
huh?
Sure.
Let's not keep the audience waiting.
I know.
Okay.
Let them guess how we really feel about this one.
The camera closes in on Mulder, who is standing alone in a field at dusk. As it approaches, we instantly recognize the look on his face is one we've all made. One of shock and concern while we peer into the toilet after a particularly painful duke. But instead, he holds two photographs, older photographs from the Civil War. As the scene plays, we hear a sullen Mulder voiceover.
At times I almost dream. I too have spent a life the sage's way, and tread once more familiar paths. Perchance I perished in an arrogant self-reliance an age ago, and in that act of prayer for one more chance went up so earnest, so instinct with better light let in by death, that life was blotted out not so completely, but scattered wrecks enough of it to remain dim memories. As now, one seems once more the goal in sight again.
A prayer, perhaps, opened up his soul in a way that made death a doorway instead of a dead end. Could he really be living multiple lives? Credits.
Well, what a banger.
So that happened. Mulder is getting whimsical, and we know when he gets deep and monologue-y.
It's going to be a hell of a show.
It's going to be a hell of an episode, much akin to Grotesque in season 3.
It's funny you mentioned Grotesque, because I was going to save it for later, but you called on the genie, and therefore he shall be summoned. I feel like this is Grotesque meets Oubliette.
Yeah, in a way, I can see that.
There's that little driving Mulder and that little damsel in distress, and that's maybe there's something else in there. I was trying to find that third episode where it's like the recipe that made the field where I died. Take 1 part grotesque, take 1 part oubliette, and take 1 part Ghost in the Machine. And there is the field where I died, but
1 part pompous.
1 part pompous for sure. Anyway, I've already run off the rails on this one. But I will.
So how did that opening grab you?
Well, what's to grab? It's like he's in a field looking at pictures. I'm like, this one was not one of their better ones because it felt like it needed to be big. Like this is a mythology episode or something. We've had Mulder narration at the beginning of big mythology episodes.
Oh, yeah.
This is not that episode. So
that in the narration gets fucking confusing. If you're not paying attention exactly to every word what he's saying, it's like,
what are you talking about?
What are you writing, Glenn Morgan?
I feel like they forgot who their audience was for this show. I mean, it's a popcorn muncher. So I good play to try and have this. I mean, I like that they're trying to get heady. You know me. I'd like me a good story. But
absolutely.
This one's just like, what are we doing?
Well, again, off to a running start.
Into the wall.
We come back at the Temple of the Seven Stars in Appleton, Tennessee. It's very early in the morning. The screen's black. We hear someone yell, "Federal agents were armed!" A throng of soldiers break into a musty room. They have riot gear. They begin filing through the building, clearing each room as they go, while scared women and children look on. The shot of a door with a poster, "Behold, I am alive forevermore." It's kicked open by a soldier, and in walk agents Mulder and Scully, guns drawn, as part of the tactical breach. Mulder thinks someone tipped Vernon Ephesian off, the man they're looking for, as the room is empty. Scully's certain he's somewhere on the premises. As she covers the cleared rooms with another agent, Mulder looks down a dark hallway and sees a door with ornate glass designs on it. Light peers in. He's drawn to it. It's another entrance to the compound, one leading directly into a large empty field. In record time, Mulder ignores Scully asking where he's going.
We're 2 minutes in.
We're 2 minutes in, and he's already not answering her. Yeah. He walks out the back door and looks at the field a moment. His gun's still drawn, but he's much more relaxed as he jogs into the field. Scully follows. She says the field has been cleared. There are no bunkers. But he doesn't answer. Again, he listens. We hear the dull speech of a woman somewhere, faintly. Scully begins to hear it and moves forward with a curious ear. They approach a door on the ground surrounded by dead grass. As they open it, they see a man, Vernon Ephesian, surrounded by women, all holding cups of red liquid. One of them gently goes to sip her drink, and Mulder swats it out of her hands. She spits what little she had at him. Mulder places Ephesian under arrest along with the women. And the screen flashes with still images of their mugshots, Vernon, then woman after woman, until it flashes to Mulder holding the booking photo of the woman who spat on him.
I will give them props for that transition. It's a good one. It does read with style. So, and I'm all right with that. I have to say, like, if you waited 30 seconds, this episode would be over because they would have drunk the drinks and that would have been done. But no, he got there in time. So good for you, I guess.
Good for you, Mulder.
Yeah.
So the question is, Andrew, how did he know? How did he sense?
How did he possibly know? Because he's already he's thrust himself into the plot, or the plot has enveloped him in a way.
He was asked to come on this case.
Well, I mean, yes, that was my first question: is why are Mulder and Scully involved in this raid? This is not what they do.
Skinner is about to tell us.
I know. I was glad that they got to that early on because I was sitting there tapping my fingers. But
the fuck is he doing here?
Yeah.
And as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew is a stickler for the detail.
I do need me some. I will give them credit.
I'm with you. I'm a stickler too.
This next scene is going to lay out exactly what they need to do in this episode. There's no messing about. So, I mean, good on you, Mike. Lay it on us.
We go now to the Federal Command Center in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The agents sit in a room with other FBI. Skinner's pacing the front as they all listen to a recorded tape of a phone call. It's of Agent Kylie and someone named Sydney.
2:30 hours, 5 November 96, Atchison, Tennessee. Confirmed telephone trace from within 7 Stars compound. BATF, this is Agent Kylie.
Look, I'm not gonna talk long, right? I can't even believe I'm even doing this. Brilliant. Look at Vernon. He's got a lot of good ideas. He's right about a lot of things, but he's doing stuff to kids now that it ain't good, right? And I'm telling you, it is not why I signed on.
Okay, easy. Can you tell me your name, sir?
Call me Sydney. Now, like I said, Vernon, he's hurting the little kids around here bad. It ain't right. And man, the guns, my God. You know, you could beat the whole Korean army here. Oh, God, I can't talk no more. I got it.
This call capped off an 18-month BATF investigation of the Temple of the Seven Stars, led by Vernon Ephesian. The Sydney call convinced the Attorney General to give the go-ahead for this morning's raid.
ATF intelligence reports were weak. I mean, our man Spooky found Ephesian in a bunker ATF didn't even know was there.
The Bureau is responsible for coordinating
Garbage in, garbage out. You know what I'm saying?
Knock it off! The reports are valid. Illegal activities were going on at the Seven Stars compound. Somehow they were alerted in time to hide the evidence. Ephesian and his wives are being held on, frankly, BS charges of possession of dangerous chemicals. And you know their attorneys will be pushing for a quick arraignment. They'll be out of here in less than 24 hours if we cannot charge them. Agents on site will continue to search for evidence of illegal firearms. And even more critical, find the informant, Sydney. If they found out that he tipped us, it's likely we're looking for a murder.
Mm-hmm.
He dismisses everyone.
Okay.
And then pursues a conversation with the stars of the show because
They're the stars of the show.
They're the stars of the show, and they stuck around without words. They were brought in, Andrew, because of claims of Vernon's abilities, channeling, astral projection, and the like. Scully calls him a charismatic sociopath obsessed with the Book of Revelation. He will use biblical text to get his followers to do anything, hence the 6 women on the verge of suicide. So Skinner's concerns are that if the members are released, they'll be looking at another Jonestown. Oh boy.
Well,
that means this is big.
We have set the stage. We have laid the table. It's a banger coming on. It's going to be action-packed. Well, they have a cat and mouse game looking for the guns.
There's going to be so many guns in this episode.
So much.
So they're talking about all the guns that are waiting to appear. And they've got guns all up in the fucking opening of the show.
Oh, yeah. Guns. So I'm ticking off of my fingers what this show is going to be. They need to find evidence of the illegal firearms or the bad guys are going to go free within 24 hours. Our clock is ticking. They need to find the informant, Sydney, because that person can give them more information on, they could help direct them to all the illegal stuff. And then on top of that, they have these paranormal claims from Vernon and Ephesian that they are going to investigate, which completely drops off the back of a truck somewhere and never comes back as a thing. It was a very flimsy reason for them to be involved.
It was, that was the only reason for it.
Yep.
It's to get Mulder on the case.
This is why you're here. It's why Skinner's here, apparently. Yeah. I guess those boys in Tennessee, they didn't have enough manpower, so they needed to bring in the ultimate
This guy
man.
says he talks to Jesus. We're going to need backup.
Yep. Okay.
I know just the man. Hold on.
So far on board, this is a situation.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
It's intriguing so far. I like it.
And we've laid out our ground plan. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing. I think we've got an airtight case here. So
yes,
we go now to an interrogation with Vernon Ephesian.
I knew you were coming. I've known for 9 centuries. It was written in the revelation of Jesus Christ. Behold, the devil shall cast some of thee into prison that you may be tried. You'll have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life.
But that message was to the church at Smyrna. It's my understanding that your temple is the reincarnation of the church at Ephesia.
Mine is a temple of the 7 stars. All 7 churches receiving the revelation. And the members are not a reincarnation of the the church.
Are you?
Oh, yes, I was present to hear Apostle John Mark deliver his message of the apocalypse.
Vernon, if Sidney was unfaithful, did he receive a crown of life?
There are no members of the temple named or nicknamed Sidney.
But I know you don't believe. See, I don't care if you think that I'm Jim Jones or David Koresh. I don't need you to believe or even like me. But just for a moment, I'd like you to put aside your investigation. For your own souls.
While Ephesian speaks, he frequently locks eyes with his interrogators, and the camera pulls in to Mulder's face as he stands at the back of the room. Are his words reaching him, Andrew? Do they hold some sort of deep meaning? So, Ephesian is basically saying he doesn't need anyone to like him. You can compare me to David Koresh or whatever, but he wants them for just a moment. Put aside the investigation for the sake of their souls, Andrew. So we're dealing with
the souls. Yes.
Religious nutbag here. It teeters on that line we talk about of, is this going to be another good versus evil, grand God versus the devil episode? But thankfully it doesn't go there.
No, we'll wait for the next one we'll talk about for that to go there. But no, Mike, this is Michael Massey, who unfortunately died in 2016. But man, he does bring the creep for this role, to his credit.
He is a good actor for this. He does a really good job at being nonchalant. He does a good job of being dismissive of people and very monotone and sure of himself, I think is the best way to put it. He's just very sure and confident, and he doesn't hold anything back. He just kind of says what he's feeling. So
I will give them props for doing their homework on the religious aspects of the episode. They had to have in order to make this work. And I do like that they write it so that Mulder tries to speak to Vernon in his language. You know, it's like, no, that was written to the Church of Smyrna. That's not your church. And, you know, Vernon's able to twist that back and say, oh, no, it doesn't matter. But unfortunately, this is where the episode is starting to creep into its own ass, where it really is, you know, it's outthinking itself and taking us down a path we really don't need to go down.
All right. So what I like about that speech with Mulder is not speech, but he's turning.
Oh, it's a speech. There's a long time where he talks and nobody else does. So that's a monologue right there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I kind of stumbled over my own words there. I spoke what I was thinking, but I didn't want to say. So I like that he shows his book learning. He knows scripture. He knows the stuff, even though he's got an intense aversion to it, right? So I do like that aspect of this episode where Mulder does show a knowledge and expertise on the words that are written down in the Bible. So he can come at Vernon with a certain contradictory tone, and they can kind of spar in that way. I do like scenes like that. So
yep, me too.
The interrogation here didn't bother me, maybe like some others will, but so Mulder and Scully discuss the situation. They're starting to release members. We can see them filing out of the building. They've spent 12 hours with Vernon, and nothing but biblical scripture was said. Nothing about Sidney either. So they now turn to the 6 wives, and Mulder suggests they start with that woman who spit on him.
Can we start with the hot one?
Can we Speaking of that, I review the transcript.
Okay, yeah.
Because I want to make sure I don't miss any words or whatever.
Yeah.
It's easier than rewinding the episode.
No, exactly. And you've seen them a million times, so why would you need to watch
I mean, I know what I'm doing. I'm good. But I noticed in the description of this scene where they're showing the mugshots, or before the last interrogation, where they're showing the mugshots, are like, it's talking about Vernon's wives, a white woman, a black woman, a red-haired woman, a fat white woman, and then Melissa. I was like, oh, okay, so that's your that's your differentiating word. Okay, so that's
she just fits right in.
Yeah, she just fits right in.
Yeah,
I was like, God damn, that's harsh. We go back into the interrogation room. Melissa takes a long drag off her cigarette. She's 25 and one of Vernon's 6 wives. The agents start her off easy. Where are you from? Where does your family live? And the like. She rebuts with her family is here. Her real family is here, Andrew.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yes.
Yeah, she's been here a year and has been married the same time. When Mulder asks if it bothers her that Vernon has so many wives, she robotically responds with scripture. And on that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we shall eat our own bread, we shall wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach.
See, that doesn't make any sense, but okay. If that's what you want to hang your hat on, I won't stop you. I mean, that's your life.
Oh, boy.
I mean, you're not going to eat somebody else's bread. That'd be weird.
Yeah. It doesn't really do a whole lot, except for the first part. It explains that 7 women shall take hold of one man.
It gives them a number.
That's all that says,
it
really.
gives them a number to work with, really.
Yeah.
I mean, to their credit, as much as I dislike this episode, I guess I'm a bit of an apologist for it. They do showcase how a really charismatic cult leader works. And it is basically that if you have that intensity about you, you can babble anything and people will draw intense meaning from it. And if this is the statement or the passage that he used to justify why he's got 7 wives, then, it doesn't mean anything to us, but to them, obviously, it meant everything.
It meant everything. So now they hang on his every word.
Yeah.
And we're about to kill themselves for it. So when Scully asks if she's ever witnessed any child abuse at the temple, things take a turn. Immediately, she gets agitated. She alters her voice. She squints her face and begins holding an imaginary cigarette.
I don't know where you two are getting that from. I mean, I saw a couple things. I mean, it could have been anything, right?
Melissa?
Melissa? No. I don't know nobody called that.
Sydney?
What is this? The McCarthy earrings? No. Don't know anybody by that name, no. I saw a couple things. It could have been anything, right?
Sydney, can you tell me who the President of the United States is right now?
Who is the President of the United States? What the hell kind of dumb question is that? That is a stupid question. Harry Truman.
So, Andrew,
Yeah.
Sydney has been found.
Sydney
We can all go home.
showed up.
Long story short, Sydney hides inside Melissa. He gives them the information they need. Vernon stands trial for the weapons and is convicted while his followers are treated at a reprogramming center.
You know what? You jumped ahead to what would make this a better episode, and I thank you for that. This is 22 minutes, the shortest episode ever. Discuss.
We are done.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would love your thoughts on it.
No, it can't be that easy. Sydney is not that talkative. I don't know.
No.
Weapons, we're a peaceful community. We don't got no weapons. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So in the scene, once Sydney shows himself, Scully and Mulder are taken aback briefly, but then Scully surmises, hey, split personality.
Hey, look at that.
And Mulder takes a leap and says, past life. All because she mentioned Harry Truman.
Harry Truman. That's, of course, who the president is. What is that? Stupid question?
She's got this WAP accent.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, Mike.
So she's a mobster. He's a mobster.
It's gonna turn into my cousin Vinny. This episode is now. I now know what the third one is. You know how I was saying it's one part grotesque, it's one part oubliette, and it's one part schizogeny. Because it requires Kristen Cloak, who plays Melissa, to do multiple characters in a believable way. Failed completely. I mean, not Kristen, but the actor who played in Schizogeny. That just did not work. Here, I would argue a little bit better.
And we'll get to that. I have my thoughts on that.
I'm sure you do. So there's a lot sitting onto Kristen Cloak's shoulders. Please note, Kristen Cloak married to Glenn Morgan. So pretty sweet gig.
Yeah, pretty sweet gig. I wonder, that must have just happened. That must have complete coincidence.
I bet they had another actor who fell through, and it's like, well, guys.
And they were like, I don't want to give this to my fiance. I can't just write her apart.
Guys, I know it would be awkward, but my wife's really good.
And Chris Carter said, just ask her. We need someone. We're desperate.
You know what?
The other lady broke her arm. She can't act.
Can she read cue cards? Can she do an old man with a cigarette? All right, fine. Get
Perfect.
it down.
All right.
Yeah.
Give her an old-timey 20s accent.
Let her
Make
do
her a
whatever she
mobster.
wants. Let her do whatever she wants.
Can you have her holding an imaginary Tommy gun? We're back at the Federal Command Center after that tantalizing interview.
Yeah. Oh,
Skinner walks in
shit.
as Mulder studies a crude map of the compound. They have 15 hours before Ephesian and his wives are arraigned to come up with a plan. Mulder pushes back. They've found Sydney. We can all go home, Andrew.
That's right. You gave me 3 things. I've done 1.
Yep. The voice spectrogram confirms that Melissa is Sydney. So Mulder insists that a personality inside Melissa is trying to cooperate and suggests that they take her back to the compound to jumpstart her anxiety enough to bring out Sydney. Just like an X-Man, Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a classic.
She's regresso. Skinner is rightfully reserved about this and asks Scully's opinions. She believes in dissociative identity disorder, but it's extremely rare. So rare, in fact, that many in the psychiatric community disbelieve it. Mulder quickly quotes the DSM-4 for all you psych nuts out there.
Yeah. Listen,
what they've witnessed meets that criteria. Sydney's a protector identity who only appeared as a result of mentioning kids had been abused. Melissa was unable to recall basic personal history. That is enough to convince Mulder.
Well, didn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, forget where exactly you lived 20 years ago. And that is enough for me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, do you feel okay? Are you yourself?
Is it possible you have multiple personalities or past lives? I'm just curious.
You've got kind of a raspy voice. Is that a cold, or are you a man from the...
How strange. I do like that they have the discussion about the legality of multiple personalities. Like, is the evidence obtained here even legal? So, interesting.
It's important. It's important.
Not that anybody's going to get charged out of all this. Just saying.
Right. I mean, we are moving towards that Law and Order ending, right?
For the crime of giving a child a spanking. That is going to be the hot button issue here.
Oh, man. Yeah. Melissa is the first crazy lefty. So Mulder goes further to state that the precedent has been set for dissociative personalities, and they're deemed responsible in the judicial system. So they can use Sydney's testimony against Vernon. Skinner reluctantly but definitively tells them to get it done and leaves the room.
I think Mulder lied out of his ass. I think he's just like, oh no, the courts have totally said that multiple personalities can testify and everything. So I think we should do it, sir.
We're good.
We're good. Oh, all right then. Go off and do it. I've got
Skinner just takes Mulder's word for it.
Yeah, exactly. Can you cite your sources?
Yeah. Please show me where this is okay.
Yeah.
But Scully's pissed and she confronts Mulder. He didn't have the courage to tell Skinner what he really thinks. That Melissa is being invaded by her past life. And she ends the scene calling Mulder a gutless hack. And the show ends as Mulder storms out of the room.
Yeah, their partnership dissolved this day.
The case falls apart after this.
I am surprised that Scully takes this tact. I mean, I know that it's Morgan and Wong. They are taking a lot of liberties with the characters. But since when does she do that? Since when does she go to Mulder and say, I can't believe you didn't just tell Skinner it was a UFO. I mean, my God.
I do think it's a bit forced.
A bit. Yeah, okay.
I'm willing to understand it because so many people's lives are at stake, or at least they believe them to be. Because what Mulder believes is so fucking far out there with little evidence.
Yeah, but he's got great cover. It's like, you called it multiple personality. Let's go with that. If I think it's past lives, I don't have to own up to that. She's just pissed at him because he's not telling her what's going on with him. She's not saying, he's not saying, oh, and by the way, I think I have a past life. Oh, weird, awkward, but it's a thing.
Mulder took the pussy way out. So. Back at the temple, the agents arrive with Melissa. Mulder assures her she's safe, and Scully comforts her, saying they're here to talk, no matter how painful it might be. Melissa scans the room and walks inside Vernon's room. She looks at her wedding photo mournfully. In the photo, she stands in front of Vernon, his hands resting on her shoulders, both of them staring lifelessly into the camera. She begins to weep as the agents look on. She accidentally knocks some photos off the shelf and leaves the room sobbing. Scully finds her in a day room for kids. Melissa's sitting on a tiny chair and coloring at a small table in a childish fashion. When Scully engages her by name, she lifts her head, holding her hair back girlishly, and calls herself Lily. This takes Scully aback. Melissa makes a goofy face at her, and Mulder watches from across the room. Without warning, Melissa gets up. Within seconds, Sidney appears. She begins contorting her face and pacing around the room in circles, holding an imaginary cigarette, as Sidney begs the agents to leave Melissa alone. Mulder attempts to calm Sidney by saying you can all be safe and go home by telling them where the guns are. At this moment, she brushes the hair out of her face and calmly leaves the room. She walks to the same door, the one that Mulder keyed on in the beginning. It's dusk as Melissa walks out into the field. She lets the tall grass graze her hands, and she begins speaking, but in a southern accent. A fourth personality, Andrew.
I believe she's channeling a black woman, but that that is what I hear. That may not be what is actually the case. What do I know?
I think if this show got released now, it would just be one big because it's so offensive.
It's pretty hard.
She speaks of them placing weapons in the bunker the night before, and Scully immediately grabs her notepad and whispers to Mulder, that's why the ATF didn't know about the bunkers. But that's not what Melissa means. She's speaking in a southern accent now, which means the story is from the Civil War. Apparently.
That's right. Because nobody in Tennessee speaks with a southern accent now.
No.
Federals would arrive in the morning just before the sun. Realizing the government's might and number, most believe they indeed would never again see the light of day, just as they had watched their brothers die days before on Missionary Ridge. We had received word of General Claiborne's retreat from the Union Army. As a nurse, I had been ordered from Hamilton County to meet the troops, but in actuality, I was searching for him, knowing that he would attempt to remain in Tennessee rather than retreat to Dalton. I found him here, amongst the others who had been lost as General Thomas pushed through the Confederate line. The Federal troops would appear from that direction. Rather than retreat any further, they fought them, hiding us in the bunker. Inside, I could smell the smoke, hear the rifles, feel the bodies as they dropped onto the ground above. Every last one. 26th of November, 1863. I was here. As were you. This is the field where I watched you die.
The scene ends with her turning to the agents, specifically Mulder, and locking eyes with him. This is where she watched him die, which means the episode was over before it began. Mulder is a ghost, and she strips off her Melissa mask to reveal she is, in fact, Haley Joel Osment.
My God, this episode's just getting better and better every time you put in these revisions. So this is where Morgan and Wong started, and they wrote backwards from here. Actually, no, they started with the ending where everybody's dead and worked backwards from here. But this is a pivotal.
How can we get to where everyone dies?
Everyone's dead. That's all we know. A pivotal moment in the episode, to be sure, is the introduction of this nameless character. Well, I guess this is Sarah Kavanaugh. We'll come to learn, but
spoiler.
If you haven't watched this episode, then I don't know what you're doing here. But anyway.
This is where I watched you die.
This is the field where I watched you die. Oh, we should really call the episode that. So there you go. I really dislike that they take this tack that they are going to invoke Mulder into the past life business. I think it would have been more interesting if he was on the outside looking in. It would have been a different episode, but
yeah. Yep.
Like they're mushing a lot of stuff together here. I think they could have spent the time that they used with Mulder getting whiny and being all past lifey, and they could have devoted it to the other plot element, which has just fallen by the wayside, which is investigating Vernon Ephesian's claims to paranormal activities. I mean, we know it's an also-ran, but it could have been interesting to have something like that.
It would have made a better episode. The agents are just there on the periphery, investigating whether or not this guy has supernatural powers while everyone else is dying, drinking poison.
Yeah.
They're just getting in the way of the BATF agents trying to do their job and save lives. No, we need to see if this guy's serious.
Or a better episode, I think. Well, is it a better episode? Because David loves to do his little crying face, and they do love to put him in the damsel in distress scenario, and that's what this is. But I think a better episode is he doesn't have the past life, but she is putting him into that position enough to make him think it's true, not that it's actually true.
Yeah.
I think that Stockholm syndrome of this is, is the past life stuff believable? There are some elements that come up. And then it gives this forced dichotomy of Scully versus Mulder on it. Well, maybe it is a past life. And she's like, well, of course it can't be a past life. It has more weight rather than he's so invested now. He's got no choice but to agree with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I just do not like this take on it.
I'm with you. There is something about involving one or both of the agents to this level that makes it feel like their character is cheapened.
Very much.
I don't care for it because, I can go into it later, but it's just a little...
Well, and this is never going to come
It's
up
like
again.
in season 9. It's like in season 9 when, spoiler, Scully's baby is treated like the Christ child, and Mulder is this figure that means so much, and they need to bring his head on a platter to save the world. It's like,
what? Why?
Mulder's a fucking FBI agent. He's not Jesus or something. It's like, what are you doing?
So it'll be that, not to go too far off the deep end, but that'll be the second time that Scully's baby is the Christ child, because it was Emily the first time.
Right.
So, boy.
But that was a surrogate Christ child. It's not really the same thing.
Much like Virgin Mary,
Yeah, Mary. Yeah, she was surrogate. That's true. Damn. This show is deep.
It's super deep.
Deeper than I thought.
If you like past life stuff, this is your episode.
And I do.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm going into my fucking final thoughts, but I do like the idea of past lives. I think that's a cool
it's a neat premise.
Situation.
Yeah.
But they needed to explore it a different way.
Absolutely. I do not like them sort of shanghaiing Mulder into the plot as the past lives dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, on their way back, it's nighttime. Mulder and Scully are driving with Melissa just cuddled up in the back.
With probably Lily back there.
Mulder's trying to get a hold of a therapist trained in hypnosis. I don't know why he doesn't call his dude.
I know.
Right?
Well, he's in Tennessee.
Heinz Verber.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but it's the X-Files, so he could be there in 5 minutes.
True. It's just a 45-minute drive.
Scully begins immediately, right, Andrew? Here she comes.
Yep.
Don't do this to the poor woman's mind. Here we come. Whiny Scully. Mulder insists she wants to talk. It's just a matter of getting it out of her. No, Mulder. This is just Mulder doing his irresponsible Mulder thing.
Oh, yeah. Damn the consequences.
And he snaps at her in this moment. And he strikes the wheel with his fist, Andrew. You were there. I don't particularly like this exchange. It's so fast that Mulder is so invested.
Yeah. And
that
forced.
he's losing his mind at Scully for disagreeing with him.
It's so forced to get to this point. And much like his fear of fires and insects, this is, this past life thing is so personal and intense for him. But yet it'll never come up again. So,
yeah. Apparently, in order to get Mulder here, it's basically how could I have known about a bunker where I've never been? Luck.
Yeah. You heard
all you did was walk into a field.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I knew it. But yeah, so Scully, I will say that she points out something very important. How is it that Vernon, as reported by Mulder, is a paranoid sociopath because he believes he lived in Greece 100 years ago, but Mulder's just fine and dandy, even though he now believes he died in a field 100 years ago or 200 years ago.
Ponder that, Mulder.
Good point, Scully. End of episode. And what I want to say, and I don't think this was planned, but the last two shots of Mulder in that car, right after she says that and asks that question, he's still angry. He's tired of this back and forth between them.
Mm-hmm.
The camera goes back to her, and then it cuts back to Mulder, and he looks so deflated, like, oh, fuck, she's right. I'm full of shit. He just has that look on his face for me. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
It is a good one, yeah.
Well, at the Federal Command Center, we are doing a regression. She's being hypnotized. Melissa sits in a chair, eyes closed, and holding her right hand up as her elbow rests on the arm of the chair. The therapist speaks directly to Melissa. She recounts a woman, Elizabeth, coming to the temple with her son and Vernon taking him away from her. As she occasionally snuck in to see her son, Elizabeth would bring him Butterfingers that she stole from the kitchen. But one day Vernon caught her and beat her in front of her son. Melissa begins to wail in terror and tears as she recounts the story. She goes on to say that Vernon disciplined the boy by spanking him and saying he's no son of God. When things seem to overwhelm Melissa, without warning, Sydney emerges. Tears gone, raspy voice, imaginary cigarette, you guessed it.
Mm-hmm. He
commends the therapist on a brilliant move, but to leave Melissa alone. Scully mouths to the therapist to ask where the guns are.
That's good. Can we get this over with, please?
Can we please move this along? He mentions the bunkers, but that he doesn't really know, anxiously. Mulder begins to speak to Melissa in a smooth, monotone David Duchovny voice. It's like honey to all of us and our eardrums. No,
that's right.
That's why we all listen to his new podcast on Lemonada. He asks her to go back to the field. Her eyes open and she reaches for him. She claims to recognize him, but that his eyes have changed. It's so heartbreaking to wait, she says. Scully tries to end the madness, but Mulder believes that he now must be regressed to get answers. Because of course. In a shift, Andrew, Mulder is now in the chair, hand in a similar position to Melissa's. He speaks softly, a few words here, as he describes different scenarios. He remembers being in Poland during World War II. He is a woman. Samantha is his son, and his father is dead in the street. He's played by Scully. He describes that Melissa is his husband, but he has been taken away. They are always taken away. Mulder cries. Now he's above the field during the Civil War. His sergeant is dead, once again played by Scully. If I were her, I'd be incredibly offended at casting her as a dead man every time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I drifted off there. What?
Scully's a dead man.
Oh, wow. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, well, it happened twice.
This is just David Duchovny making this shit up.
We find out that Melissa's olden name is Sarah Kavanaugh, and Mulder is Sullivan Biddle. After some more theatrics, Mulder gets sleepy. Scully now takes it upon herself to go to the Hamilton County Hall of Records. She examines a map of a battlefield Mulder spoke of. She's investigating these wild claims of Mulder and Melissa. She comes across some old photos, and lo and behold, two photos, one of Sullivan Biddle and the other of Sarah Kavanaugh. Can I just say, how lucky that was?
I think it stretches credulity for me that there should just happen to be two photographs.
And they're labeled.
Yeah.
They're labeled.
Yeah.
I mean, she is lucky.
No. Work backwards and suggest that somehow Mulder has already done this research, found those photographs, put them back in the drawer, and now it's like in his subconscious to be drawn out in this recollection.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that works for me in this.
No. This was shitty writing. This was, I'm going to go to the Hall of Records where we have everything at the ready, and I'm going to open the teeniest drawer you've ever seen and pull out 10 photos, and
right
boom,
on top.
There they are.
Pretty
right
much
on
one
top.
after another. I mean, the one thing I like about this scene, well, I guess I got a couple things to say at this point, but the Hall of Records scene, I like Mark Snow's music here. Drums, percussion, horns. It's evoking the Civil
surprised
War.
he didn't throw in like
a little bugle action. Yeah, that'd been good. And of course, I like it when the investigators actually investigate. You know, it's a nice reminder, a true to form.
But this is an investigation.
It's not really. It's linking the plot points together so that she can be like, oh my goodness, maybe it's real.
Oh, and I love how they found or created, I'm sure they created in some sense, those photos, and they gave the guy that classic David Duchovny nose.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful scene. She does her due diligence and she finds those photos. So it must all be real.
Seeing is believing, man. You got those pictures in there. I guess it must be real.
Well, okay. So she finds the photos. Great. Back at the Federal Command Center, it's almost time for Ephesian's arraignment. Mulder asks Scully if she would think of them differently if she knew they had been friends through lifetimes. And you know what, Andrew? She wouldn't change the day, even if she knew. Even if she knew.
That is such bullshit. I mean, the things that have happened in their careers so far.
I could do without getting abducted and having implants.
And my sister being killed accidentally, I could probably not have that happen.
But no. What does she pull off the top of her head? The fluke man. Which, okay, it's a cute little scene. You got me. I smiled.
Yeah.
But, come on.
Yeah. Can I just say, David Duchovny's monologue there as Sullivan Biddle, that's a 5-minute long scene. I timed it, man. That's 5 minutes of him. One camera angle, by the way. That's a lot. I mean, the convention of television is changing angles so that you don't get bored of any one scene for too long. We're on him for so long. Oh, it's so tedious.
Yeah. But it's so gripping.
Oh, it's not even. It's not gripping.
I was inspecting Mulder's teeth, much like I am right now.
I mean, if you're gonna do, it's an interesting-ish stream of consciousness burble coming out of Mulder there, where he's filling in roles with characters of other. They can't be there. You know, Samantha has a role. His dad has a role. Scully has multiple roles. CSM
Scully has one very, very similar role.
Yeah.
Dead man.
Yeah. But
she was dead in all his incarnations.
Mr. X? Where are the lone gunmen? Come on.
Well, that was just too much, man.
And Frohicke's my dog.
Oh my God.
That would have been funny.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well,
I know
Melissa Kristen Cloak does a passable Southern accent. I mean, I can't say she didn't prepare for this role. Like, it is a tour de force for her. So, damn. In actuality. It's good stuff, but they're really digging hard for the tragic pathos. You know, there is going to be no happy ending here.
Yeah. And
it's forecasted or telegraphed pretty far out that this is going to go bad. Yeah. And it's sort of in this moment of them having their last meeting before Vernon Ephesian is going to collect them. It's like, if only life could be different. So, whatevs.
She ends the scene with tearing up the photo and leaving with Vernon. Oh, God.
The priceless artifact? Yeah, nice.
Well, she's arrested again. That is public property.
What a plot twist.
She gets thrown back in jail.
Yeah, doesn't get killed with everybody else.
Everyone else dies, and she's saved.
Yeah, nice.
So we go to the Temple of the Seven Stars. The congregation all pours into the compound, and as people filter in, Vernon walks among them, smiling and embracing. Officers are still in the area, however.
They should
sees
have
them on the outskirts.
They should have ended it there. It's a happy ending that they have been reunited and they can live and love and pray to God in the sanctity of their own First Amendment rights property,
Under constant military surveillance.
That's right.
There is an unending perimeter around their compound.
You can check out, but you can never leave. Yeah.
Well, the agents are now with Skinner at the command center. Time's running out. Mulder tries to break through to Skinner by describing a scenario without saying it. Vernon preaches to his followers, who believe that the FBI and the ATF are the devil's army, prophesied in Revelations 12:17, to make war on, quote, the seed which keeps the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scully mentions that the text speaking of Christian faith defeats the army, but Mulder doesn't believe the motive of Ephesian is all that literal. He doesn't believe he can defeat the army because he hid the weapons, which tells Mulder if he can't defeat them, he must join them. No. He can still deny them their victory, which means that a mass suicide is in the offing, Andrew.
Is it possible for us to join the ATF and then that way we'll just have ourselves under supervision?
Look, gentleman's agreement. We were wrong. You're right.
That's right. We've seen the light.
Just let us in.
We just want to be good taxpayers now.
The next series of scenes Vernon's men usher the congregation into the great hall while he preaches words of strength to them. We see a few men with rifles take point at windows, with eyes on the agents out in the field. Skinner argues with an angry BATF agent and asks for a cooling off period, while the agent claims they're close to finding the weapons they've had all this time to search that field, and they have not found it.
But we're close. We're close now. I can just feel
They're close.
Yeah.
Somehow they're closer.
Can I just add that these guys have already armed themselves? Like they have.
Yeah, right.
They literally come back in for a mass and the dudes show up to the windows with rifles. So their search has been shit.
Yeah, what exactly have you been doing?
Did you look under the floorboards? Because that's a pretty common hiding spot.
Not only did they get allowed back into their compound, but they found some of their hidden weapons.
Or all of them, for all we know.
Or all of them, yeah. Or all. They're in the basement.
Yeah, they were in the gun locker.
We didn't have any knowledge that there was no intelligence this place had stairs.
Yeah, they were properly stowed in a gun safe, and the minute they came back in, they just opened the gun safe and armed themselves like they are allowed to under the Second Amendment.
They equipped themselves under the nose of the government, which has swept this building at least twice, I'm sure.
Ooh, this is an indictment against their prowess as searchers.
We're almost there. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
Anyway. Agent Riggins comes in and lets everyone know the members have all been ushered into the hall, and he plays for them a tape of Vernon.
Parabolic mic we have aimed at the compound. Just pick this up.
Marvel not, my brethren, that the world hates you. We know we've passed from death into life because we love the brethren. Hereby perceive we the love of God because he laid down his life for us.
Temple began running an interference frequency.
So basically, he is preparing them for ultra death here. Scully gets a laptop and searches as the tape plays. Riggins mentions that after the tape stops, the temple must have begun running a jamming signal.
Mm-hmm.
Where they got that, I don't know, because, well, again, this place was just swept under BATF's control. They probably hit it with the guns downstairs.
Yeah, that is a little convenient plot MacGuffin there.
It's like, oh, so...
Yeah. Did they actually say that?
They did. It was some sort of jamming frequency, I think was the terminology.
Blah.
Blah.
That's pretty bad.
And you know what that is? All that is to make it seem more urgent than it already is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we cut the tape. We couldn't hear the whole thing, but we sense where it's going, so we got to get there faster. And the agents were already going to get there faster, but for some reason they thought they had to fake amp up the audience for that. But
the temple began running an interference frequency. I mean, the logistics involved in doing that just as a cast off, like
Yeah.
All right, fine.
I just see one of the guys sitting with a cup of red liquid, like adjusting knobs. They're listening, sir.
I'll bet you they're listening to this. Oh, damn, I already told everyone we're going to die. Well, I guess that's my bad.
Well, Scully finds what she's looking for. The first epistle of John, chapter 3. He laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren.
Look, that's just a coincidence. I mean, you can read these passages in multiple different points of view. I think they're overreacting, honestly.
They go in there, it's just like kumbaya. They're just all holding hands and singing.
But the agents go in guns blazing to prevent them from killing themselves.
He's got a gun.
Yeah, that's right.
They all open fire.
Yeah.
All right. We go now to the temple.
Time for our action sequence.
Pans across a long table lined with clear plastic cups as they're being filled one by one with red liquid. And Andrew, just in case we're a bunch of simpletons with pudding for brains who can't tell where this is going, the camera tracks and stops on a large brown bottle with a skull and crossbones on it and poison in big text.
Okay, I have a funny aside here on that,
yes,
that
please.
icon. Apparently in Pittsburgh, they have a problem. Do you know what that problem is regarding that safety icon?
I don't.
Do you know of a major sports team in Pittsburgh?
Steelers.
Try again. The Pirates.
Oh, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whose icon is a skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
So kids were seeing these bottles with that on them and going, oh, that's these guys must drink to be such great athletes.
They were not.
Yeah, it was an actual problem. So there's this whole.
Are you fucking with me? You're fucking.
I am not messing with you. This was another podcast I listened to, which talked about the origin of the Poison Control Center and how they created another child through. Children were part of the process to create this icon, and the icon was Mr. Yuck. And it was literally, you look at his face and it looks like he's going, yeah, he's got his tongue sticking out going, yeah. So that was the symbol that they wanted to use as the new poison control symbol to say, this has poison in it, don't drink it. Because not specifically the Pittsburgh problem.
You know what? I don't believe that kids are that stupid that they would eat something like, say, a Tide Pod because it looks pretty and it's like candy. I don't believe that. Story...
I like the world you live in. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is
there's a reason
100% believable.
There's a reason that they don't, the packaging has do not eat written on it to absolve them from legal responsibility.
Don't fucking eat it, you stupid.
They don't use that much, but yeah.
Well, I would. You would not want me on your warning label duty, okay?
You would have more.
Before you shove this in your asshole, read this.
Yeah, do not insert rectally.
God, what does that say about humans, man? Hey, I wonder if this fits.
I need to take this to the office.
Okay. So we now know they're drinking poison. I didn't know that until just now. Mm-hmm. Vernon continues his sermon as his henchmen begin passing the cups out to the congregation. We see Melissa take one. As the agents descend on the temple, the riflemen at the windows begin breaking them out and firing on them. To some success. They nail one of the guys.
Can I just say, again, I'm no military expert, but this is a perfect example of bad tactics. Like if you are, well, I guess you've already swept through the compound and haven't found any guns, so clearly they're unarmed. But you didn't find them, so I think that's a bad assumption on your part. Yeah. Advancing in an open field without any cover. And they have
no shields.
Yeah, they have. Well, not that it would matter with the battle rifle this guy's using, but they have an unrestricted field of view as you march towards them. It's like you maybe don't have an armored vehicle to go behind, but surely to God, you could toss a few smoke grenades in there by the windows so that you can conceal your approach. And not just get picked off by these guys.
No. See, this is where you're wrong. It is all about that gentleman's agreement. It's got to be fair game. Equal opportunity approach, equal opportunity defense.
No, the problem here is that the agents can't shoot back because there are innocent civilians inside the barn.
I don't buy it.
Nobody's innocent in this
I
game.
saw the Waco documentary. I'm kidding.
Oh boy. It's got dark.
Just go in there with a tank.
Yeah, this is not that apparently. The budget for this episode did not include armored vehicle.
That's next season for Folie à Deux.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, that helps.
Mulder and Scully arrive without flak jackets, mind you, to the scene already in progress. Inside the temple, Vernon's sermon gains momentum as he becomes more animated in his words and tone, straining as he spits out words like whoremongers, murds, and idolaters.
Yeah, passionate.
People are drinking willingly as their brethren are falling to their deaths beside them. Vernon's speech simmers a bit as he walks amongst them and stops at Sidney, who is perhaps mercifully afforded one last imaginary cigarette.
It does have that gleeful look on her face, doesn't she?
It's just got like this fucking firing squad feel to it where he's just blindfolded. He's got one last cigarette. But Mulder, in a panic, takes off his jacket and raises his hands into the air as he marches towards the temple. After a moment, we see Melissa inside, on the ground, moving slowly. She opens up her eyes and sits up. The room around her is full of dead bodies.
Can I just say, Mulder taking off his jacket and advancing with his hands up. How did he get this stupid? He is the one that said they view them as the army of the devil. Like, you advancing with your arms held up just makes you a better target.
Right.
It's so silly.
I can see him.
And Scully rightly shouts out, "You're dead," you know.
Right. And the episode ends right there. You're dead, Black.
Oh my God.
She sees Vernon behind her, lurking in the shadows, sensing that she was going to fake it because she knows all too well that she fakes it.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He still has 2 cups of red liquid with him. And upon sight of him, she begins to weep, knowing that despite having the will to defy him once, she knows she doesn't have the strength to do it again. Vernon says, "Behold, I am alive forevermore." Mulder breaks down the door and rushes into the hall. And this guy, actor of the year, the guy slumped against the door as he opens the door to the Great Hall. He's like, "And now's my cue," tips over.
Thud.
Mulder crosses the bodies strewn about with care. He stops at Vernon and Melissa. He kneels down to see her. She has the photograph of Sarah Kavanaugh clasped in her hand. Mulder tears up again and cries at the loss yet again of his partner through the ages.
Wait, how does she have the picture?
It's in her hand.
I know, but how did she?
I don't know. She took it. Didn't she take it with her?
She tore it up and left it.
Did she leave it?
Why would she tear it up and take it with her?
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. This episode's terrible.
I don't think I paid attention.
Yeah.
Whatever. Scully enters to find Mulder sobbing, and he gazes out the window with his tear-filled eyes. We crossfade back into Andrew's favorite pre-credits scene.
Yes, it all starts where it ends and ends where it started. Mike, you have to go full circle to find the truth.
God damn it. I didn't see that coming. Anyway, yeah, so Mulder repeats his monologue from the beginning. The camera circles up above him to show the pictures, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Credits.
Done.
Andrew.
Is it over?
Final thoughts?
Is it over? Oh, boy. Okay.
I mean, we still got to talk about it.
Mike, this episode is definitely a tour de force from Morgan and Wong. They take a theme and run with it, and they do not spare the whip. But it's perhaps so heady, so filled with ideas and implications that it gets in its own way. Its head goes firmly up its own ass. It's a book ended with action, but in the middle, it goes all in on past lives, and if that's not your bag, then it's a long, long wait till the conclusion. In short, it did not grab me. Nicely shot, some good stuff, but a lot of stuff that just does not land for me. That's it.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to go to bed.
Works.
That's it.
I'm going to go to bed.
I'm going to bed.
Bedtime.
It's bedtime. Mike, what are your final thoughts for this episode?
Well, we've already dived into.
We've dived a bit.
Dived. It's an episode. It's different.
Sure is something.
I'll be 100% honest, Andrew. I don't hate it. I know I ragged on it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I bagged on this one. I do like the mood of it in the sense that, okay, there's a solemn feeling throughout the episode. It does. It's very 50-50. I got to be honest. It's 50-50. Sure. It's like, I do like the idea of it. Like I said before, I like the idea of the past lives things. I think the X-Files could explore it in a compelling way. But again, including Mulder in such a way feels very forced. It cheapens who we have come to know. It's almost as if, okay, so now I have to believe that Mulder isn't really Mulder. He's some other dude living another life. And not in a shipper way, but I don't get why they didn't make Scully like, not his partner, but someone who was more, that's who he was meant to connect with throughout his lifetime. They are always working together or doing something which would make their bond maybe a little stronger. And no, I don't mean sexually. I just mean, why is she always a dead man in the street, Andrew? I guess that's my point. But instead, we've got Sullivan Biddle and Sarah Kavanaugh, who have been living and existing throughout the ages, trying to find one another. And Mulder is one of these incarnations. So what are we watching? What are we doing here?
Well, that's been my question for the whole thing. I mean, this is, I dare say that they are kind of tourists, even though they are driving the action forward. They're learning the clues. They're figuring out the things. But ultimately, they fail hard in this episode. Like, they really do not get stuff done. The weapons are never found. The people are not saved. Everybody dies. It's like, what are you saying, Morgan and Wong, in this episode?
I think they were like, we need a tragic fucking episode.
Well, you got it.
And so we're gonna kill 60 people who have no consequence.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make Mulder and Scully fail miserably. And oh yeah, Mulder is going to be a long lost soul in the eternal struggle beyond life and death to find a partner for some character we've never met.
They needed some Vince Gilligan here to rein it back, because let's talk about what makes a better episode in this scenario that they have developed. And I think it is maybe something along the lines of, you do have two people past lives connecting, unlikely, completely different socioeconomic backgrounds, and they find each other and the hijinks ensue. Maybe it's Bonnie and Clyde or something, or maybe there's a couple of these scenarios, like people are having these weird connections and it doesn't make sense, and then they realize that there is the meteor fell and everybody's past lives are being evoked, or I don't know what the episode is, but there's a way to get there from here that doesn't involve co-opting Mulder as one of the vessels, because now that they've done it, it's part of the canon, much like his fear of fire and fear of bugs. And they never come back to it. The more you hamstring your actors with these character flaws, you can just immediately dump them again without any consequence. Like, we're watching this in a way that your naughty 90s audience didn't watch it. They watched it episodically. They didn't necessarily watch them religiously week to week, cataloging what it was. We have the virtue of being able to watch these whenever we want and to see it as a narrative. But for them, it's like, yeah, this is the wacky thing that happens to them this week. So I guess that's my big problem, is they decided to take this tack. It has a huge implication, but it never comes up again.
Yeah. Other than that.
What did you think of the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yes. This episode, and I say this with as much respect and appreciation for Kristen Cloak as possible. I don't mean any ill will towards the woman. Better actress or actor than I could ever be. This is simply a vehicle for her career.
Oh, interesting. Ugh.
I mean, she married Glenn Morgan, for Christ's sake. She was his fiance at this point, and he wrote this episode, or this character, for her specifically.
Okay.
I feel like at the end of this episode, she would take this episode and use it solely as her demo reel for
Yeah.
other parts.
Likely.
Like, here's what I can do. It's
Yeah.
not different projects. This is all one episode. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely Emmy bait for sure.
She does a good enough job, but it's not great.
Well, it's so weird in the script, right? They've given her this role, and I mean, you could argue that they did it for David Duchovny as well, right? Like the
A little
script
bit.
is all
I mean,
him. Gillian
yeah.
Anderson's a side note. She gets one cool scene in the archive, and that's basically it.
Where she does her hard-nosed investigative work.
Who taped these photographs right here for me to see? Well, that was convenient. Yeah.
In the end, watching her do the part, I couldn't quite place how I was feeling about it. About her character, her acting in general. And it kind of hit me the other day. I was like, wow. After watching this episode again, I kind of feel the same way I did when I watched Joey use Chandler Bing's wedding as he uses the reception to act out multiple emotions and moods because there's a play producer in the audience.
Right.
And it's, of course, hokey and really lame, and it's awful, and he does a terrible job.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt kind of the same way. Like, is this a joke?
It's cheapened.
Like, am I supposed to be laughing right now? Because there are times where it comes off like, oh. And I think it's the Southern. It's a little, a lot of.
It's our town.
A lot of.
It's so community theater.
It's, I got that drawl. But it's, and again, good enough, but not great. And to spend so much time on it, it just feels like, I don't know.
Well, again, they condense so much into 42 minutes. It's so much, arguably too much. Classic X-Files problem.
Well, what do you say we go to listener comments?
I think this is the marvelous segue to listener comments. I have got them right here, and we'll start. We'll start with Rosemary Quinn, who says,
Perfect.
I always loved The Field Where I Died. Despite some of the episode's issues, the poem read by Mulder at the top and end of the episode is beautiful. I memorized it at one point, nerd alert, and it doesn't get much better than the would it change the way we look at one another scene. Be still, my shipper heart. Well, wear it on your sleeve, Rosemary. That is definitely apropos.
It is.
And Emily Messenger says she memorized it as well. So, yeah.
Dang. I didn't have that. But okay, good comment. Okay, we go now to our boy Josh. The Field Where I Died is definitely the most mediocre episode that I really, really like. I recognize it's not great, but it just does it for me. A cool concept, and maybe just ties the history nerd in with my X-Files love.
Okay, fair.
That's fair.
I forgot about the history element, yeah.
Yep, I do appreciate that kind of stuff. So, and I think he's hitting on something that I was saying too, where it's like, I like that idea, but it's a mediocre episode. So.
If they're going to do a history thing, do a history thing. Go back in time, get in the old time machine and be there in the Civil War.
Yep.
That would be interesting. He gets knocked on the head and it was all a dream.
Oh, boy. And then we'd have Andrew throw up his papers at the end of the episode and go, oh, of course it was.
Damn it. Yeah, that's what it would have been. All right. Emily Messenger, The Field Where I Died. Aside from the uncomfortable, I'm embarrassed for you, Mulder regression crying, I actually like this episode. The cinematography is fab. I love how they play with the lighting, and Kristen Cloak does a hell of a job with all the different characters she plays. As a shipper, I think I'm not supposed to like this episode, but it's too beautiful not to enjoy. Fair points.
Good comment.
I like how people are owning this episode in a way I never would.
Aaron Haycraft says, The Field Where I Died is indeed a little slow, but I have always liked Massey as a character actor, and something about it hits me right. It's the warm bath of X-Files episodes, nap and all. Hey, nap.
There you go. We've come full circle, Mike, on the topic.
No.
Because as we all know.
No, Jesus.
Say it.
Full circle to find the truth.
Ugh.
I feel so dirty.
That was the one good thing about that episode. Wow, Jesus.
All right, Andrew. Well, we've lingered on.
We sure have.
An hour and 20 minutes at least. So
the ones we don't like, we spend the most time on. Why is that?
I don't know. We made a lot of jokes, a lot of yucks today.
We did make a lot of yucks. So is it time? Is it time to lay down in the field and die?
Let us lay down and let our lives absorb us. Let our past lives invade our bodies.
Does that mean that this episode is now in the past and we don't have to come to it again? I think it does.
I have a feeling we'll hear about it again in season 4's Best of Worst of episode.
Tune in. Lovely listeners, thank you for listening to us, and we look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.